In our news stories today, we will look at statements coming from the Mayor of Kingston, Delroy Williams, in regards to regulations that should be put in place in the Kingston and St. Andrew municipal area in relation to flooding. We will also provide you with some critical information surrounding the circumstances under which a 12-year-old girl was rescued from floodwaters. The Kingston mayor has stated that new corporate area developments should be regulated to ensure that flooding is reduced in Kingston and St. Andrew. Mayor Delroy Williams is of the belief that regulations are needed to require developers to limit the volume of water runoff from new properties in order to reduce the potential of flooding in the corporate area. According to Delroy Williams, this should be a part of a comprehensive flood hazard mitigation plan for the corporate area. We must regulate new developments in critical areas to ensure that post-development runoff is no greater than pre-development runoff. Mr. Williams was making these statements at a recently held council meeting of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Council. He further went on to state that there must be a partnership between the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Council and the residents and also the developments, as the problem in relation to potential flooding from greater runoff is a shared problem, and it poses a risk to properties and infrastructure, and in the end, a cost on all stakeholders. So we have a need for understanding, partnership, and a shared vision. Mayor Williams, who previously said that developments should be done within the context of planning, mentioned to the attendees at the meeting of the municipality that the KSAC is very concerned about flooding in the corporate area. According to Mayor Williams, the effects of climate change and the consequences of outdated drainage infrastructure have contributed to flooding and damage across the corporate area. The Planning and Engineering Departments of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Council are ready to collaborate and cooperate with the various ministries, agencies, and other critical stakeholders in developing and sharing information in relation to flood plains across the corporate area. At the same time, the mayor has stated that the preservation of private and public open spaces must be included in plans to reduce flooding in the corporate area. In our second story, a 12-year-old girl was rescued from floodwaters in the Sandy Gully area. October 14, 2020, a young girl from the community of Waterhouse in St. Andrew had to deal with an emergency situation, which turned out to be a disaster that may have taken her life. She had to cling for dear life in heavy floodwaters in Sandy Gully. On an evening when she was having fun and playing in heavy rains in Waterhouse, St. Andrew, a young girl ended up in a disastrous situation. She was washed away in the high floodwaters of Sandy Gully. Sandy Gully is the corporate area's main drainage that empties into the Kingston Harbor. A group of young boys were running around the community with information that a young girl had fallen into the gully. This alerted residents to the young girl's distress and plight. According to an eyewitness, the rain had fallen, and when they looked, they noticed 3 little boys running around the place. When they were asked what had happened, They stated that a little girl had fallen into the gully. When they attempted to provide some assistance to the child, they started by seeking military assistance. And when they arrived, they also made a call to the fire brigade. And they arrived to provide some assistance to the child as well. According to the eyewitness, however, it was some young persons who ended up saving the child. The eyewitness further went on to express how proud she is of the youths who provided assistance to the young girl. The eyewitness further went on to state that she is a mother and she would not like that for any of her children. The eyewitness further went on to explain that the young girl was among a group of children playing near the edge of the gully just moments prior to she falling meters deep into the gully's raging waters, and the child had to be pulled out by young men who were on the other side of the gully. According to the eyewitness, they used a piece of rope and tied it around themselves and went into the middle of the gully and took out the child. She further added that neither the police nor the firefighters made any active attempts to save the young girl from the floodwaters. According to one female who asked not to be identified, she was so anxious and upset that members of the fire brigade were not able to rescue the child. They came and they saw the little girl, and all they could say was that they need a helicopter to save the child. They did not do anything. They mentioned that they could not do anything. According to the acting superintendent of the York Park Fire Station, the firefighters were unable to save the young child because the floodwaters were too high. When they arrived, based on their assessment, the level of the water was too high, so it would have posed a challenge for them to rescue her at that moment. But she was eventually rescued by residents when the water receded. According to the superintendent of police, around 2:00 p.m., they received frantic calls from residents that a young girl had fallen into the sandy gully. According to the superintendent, they immediately mobilized their teams and came along the sandy gully bank. The young girl was seen in the middle of the gully with raging water all around her. The situation was one that was really scary because we could not see how she was going to be rescued because of the force of the water and the height that the water was at as well. The superintendent went on to describe the young girl's demeanor during the emergency situation. She was crying. She was actually being very brave. I know she must have been extremely frightened as a result of the water that was all around her. However, residents were all trying to help, and eventually some young men from the other side of the gully tied a rope and formed a human chain. About 5 of them did this, and later they went out into the middle of the gully and rescued the young girl. The residents never lost hope, and I want to commend those who risked their lives and went into the raging waters to save this young girl. This is the kind of thing that we want to see from our communities. Residents believing in each other and reaching out to help each other as well. It was a very brave thing, and I must applaud the efforts that they made. This situation could have turned out otherwise, but we are grateful that this 12-year-old girl was rescued by these 5 young men who are extremely brave. And of course, with Heroes Day coming up, we would be hoping that they would be getting a medal for their bravery. Or maybe next year, they may be recommended for same. Of course, this situation is disastrous, and parents should ensure that their children are monitored and that they are advised about the dangers of floodwaters and other emergency situations like earthquakes, hurricanes, and even other disasters that may take the life of humans. The Kingston mayor is also concerned about this very flooding that may lead to further disasters in the Kingston area. Therefore, these are situations that need monitoring and regulations. And of course, our emergency teams need to be better equipped to provide immediate assistance to persons in dire need of same. Of course, it took simple action with bravery and quick thinking from these 5 young men who rescued this young girl from this heavy flood water within the Sandy Gully vicinity. We are happy that the child is safe, and we hope that this child may serve as an example for other children who may constantly play along the Sandy Gully edge. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.